David, quite old summer it's been really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks. At the end of the season, probably didn't foresee lots of what was going to happen, but look, we're at a stage now where we're all very excited. Johan Ackermann arrives in tomorrow morning, and it's something we've been preparing for really since the start of pre-season. We knew this was the most likely date that he would arrive, and we think we're in good shape. We've got a really good pre-season programme under Johnny Bell and Dan Tobin, and now, but look, find out how good it's been over the next few weeks with games starting.
And we found out today Johan Ackermann won't be arriving alone. Johan Ackermann coming as well. How good news for Gloucester is that?
Anybody who's watched the Lions over the course of the last couple of seasons, but particularly this season, I think he's been one of their standout players. His ability to play across a number of different positions, the physical edge that he's going to bring, it's something we've talked about many times over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. We're trying to build a pack that is really competitive, really physical, and can compete and dominate Premiership teams. And I think the attributes that he brings to his game will be a huge addition and acquisition for the squad.
Been a couple of high-profile ins and outs recently. Obviously, on Monday there was the Johnny May and Ed Slater deal. First off, what was the thinking behind allowing Johnny to leave?
I'm not sure it was a case of allowing Johnny to leave. The reality is now rugby's moving towards football, and in effect Johnny came in and handed in a transfer request. He did it and he explained that it was for personal reasons and for some rugby reasons. And we have the view very much, both you and I, that we only want players playing for Gloucester who want to be here. If you get to the stage where you don't want to be here, we've got to find a way to ensure that the performance of the team doesn't suffer, ensure that the strength of the squad is added to, and we feel with the transfer fee and with the addition of Ed Slater to our squad, we'll be in a stronger position going into next season.
Presumably what you were also looking to avoid was a situation similar to what happened with Matt Kovesic last year, where one of Gloucester's prize assets barely played for the club during last season.
That wouldn't necessarily have been the case. We know Johnny's been an outstanding player for Gloucester for many years, and the X factor that he brings will be missed, no question. But I think if you look back over the last couple of seasons, we haven't lost games because we couldn't score tries. We've been scoring lots of tries. Our big issue has been around making sure that we're competitive up front, and not just with our starting 15, but the squad that we have is competitive across the course of the season. And that's why whenever the news came through that when Johnny had decided he wanted to leave, it was a case of us sitting down as a management team and going, okay, look, this has happened, that's fine, let's make sure that we recruit where we need it most. And looking around, we were delighted that Ed wasn't available, but the good thing was that I've spoken to Ed 2 or 3 times over the course of the last couple of recruitment windows with a view to bringing him to Gloucester, so he knows how highly we rate him. He knows that he's someone that we've wanted to add to our squad during that period, and I'm delighted that he's here. And I think the timing's good with Johan arriving, and the personality, the qualities that he brings as a player, the qualities that he brings as a person will definitely work well with Johan.
So in a way, actually, Gloucester were recruiting Ed from a position of strength.
Yeah, look, we didn't expect the Johnny situation to arise, but once it arises, it is like the football model. You've got to make sure that what you do next then is the most important thing. And for us, it was a case of strengthening our squad. And as I said, I believe our squad, with the addition of Ed, with the addition of Johan Ackermann, I think now we've got a squad that we're going into the start of the Premiership with real confidence.
Is it almost a return to, if you like, traditional Gloucester of forward dominance in that way? Because I suppose, if you say that's what's been lacking, you can almost prioritise that, and then you're giving the backs better quality ball to work with.
As I said, we've never had any problem scoring tries. We've said really over the last couple of years that our priority has been to establish a very set-piece dominant team. We haven't managed to do that. There have been games we've been very competitive, but when we've made change or we've had injuries, we haven't been able to keep up that level of set piece. The good teams in the close games that we've lost are able to revert back, and that's been a huge part of our recruitment this year. We've recruited players that we believe will allow us to have a strong set piece and allow us to close out games.
Carl Fearns obviously changed his mind. How is the pursuit of replacements and alternatives going for him? Because obviously, Gloucester, allied to the Johnny May cash as well, you do have money to spend.
We do, but I think, as we just discussed, Johan Ackermann's a direct replacement for Carl Fearns, so we're delighted that we've added someone of that quality into our squad after what happened with Carl.
Okay, and in terms of hopes for the season, 12 months ago you were quite bullish, and obviously, rightly there was some optimism. It didn't quite happen that way. What's the aim for this season?
That's something we haven't really talked about at this stage. We've been waiting very much to have a really good pre-season. We've broken our year down into our pre-season because we knew the situation with Johan arriving late due to his Super Rugby commitments. The only thing we could really control for now was making sure that we had a pre-season that allowed us to be prepared for the start of the Premiership better than we were 12 months ago, both physically, technically, tactically. The players have worked really hard, and I think huge credit to Johnny Bell, who's run the rugby programme, and Dan Tobin from an S&C point of view, that I think if you speak to all the players, they've enjoyed it, they found it really tough. But we're now, the next stage in that is Johan's arrival tomorrow, and that will then very much turn to a match focus and getting ourselves prepared for our first pre-season friendly. And once he's here, it'll be a case of sitting down and really looking at what our targets are for the season and how we're going to set out.
There's been a lot of negativity around the club from the outside. How's it been from the inside, at the centre of it? Has it been completely different to how it's been portrayed?
I think you've got to develop a pretty thick skin pretty quickly in professional sport. What happens out in the wider support, obviously people are aware of it. Nobody's hiding from the fact that it's been a tough few months for the club, with the way the season finished, with the Ultra, with Carl Ferns. We all know what's happened, but in professional sport, you've got to deal with what happens, and then you've got to look forward. And I think one of the big strengths of this club, from Martin through Steve down through the players, we now are ready for the start of the new season. We're excited by what's going to happen. We're excited by Johan's arrival. We're excited by the strength of our squad compared to 12 months ago with the players that we've brought in. I think right across the board they will give us a much, not just top line quality, but also some real depth to our squad. And like across a year with a Premiership season, it's not just about 1 to 15. You need that squad that allows you to compete now and then also at the end of the year.
And how useful is it that pretty soon after Johan arrives, straight off to Portugal for a week's training there, and I suppose time away can multiply the speed at which he can get to know everyone. And I know he's been here before, but to get fully settled in and up to speed.
That was always part of the plan. We knew this was the most likely with the way that the Lions played, with the way the fixture list fell. We knew it was likely that the Lions would get to the final, and we'd planned this camp with that in mind to ensure that, as you said yourself, that when Johan arrives across, he's got the maximum time possible which will be a very short preparation period going into games, to get the team ready. But as I said, a lot of the work's done. The physical work's done, a lot of the technical, tactical stuff that Johan had an input into when he was across at the start of pre-season. So I'm very happy that we're in a good place going into the start of the season.